the hidden chart for massive, absolutely massive crypto gains, or Bitcoin gains, you could say as well. That is clickbait title today as we go through and revisit the USDT tether dominance chart, which has actually been a pretty integral chart into kind of judging, major highs, major lows for Bitcoin, which obviously correlate to major highs, major lows for the rest of the cryptocurrency market. You can kind of intuitively understand the importance of the tether dominance chart by, well, understanding what it actually means, which is this. Tether dominance would refer to the share of the market that, is going to tether. And when do people typically go into tether or a stablecoin? They typically go into a stablecoin when they're fearful, when they think that, things will generally go down because, well, it might be easier to go from whatever crypto you might be holding, in this case, perhaps Bitcoin, back to tether. And, that gives you options or dry powder to make other moves. So in this way, it can be very, very important, and it has been very, very important for the long term of Bitcoin. Now, we've been following this chart right here, following the LARP lines, which I believe we spoke about perhaps last week or maybe a little bit more than a week ago. We were looking for a rejection coming off this 6 3/4 area right here, which we are getting as of right now. So tether dominance finding essentially, in this case, a lower high. We would be expecting it to come back down and very likely, at least test somewhere around this trend line right here, which could bring it all the way back down, sub 5%, perhaps close to about 4.5%, with that in mind. Now, that would still be a higher low, to be fair, but ultimately, this would be a rather significant move, as the last time that we did see this thing come all the way down from 6 3/4% to that last major low was the rally that began in November of last year when Bitcoin was somewhere around about $40,000, ending in March when Bitcoin was at $74,000. A very, very significant move for Bitcoin right there. So I do want to just actually bring you to a comparison chart before we go on further so that you can kind of see for yourself. But if we put on Bitcoin in this sort of, is this magenta? Is that even a color? This is Bitcoin's price chart right here. This is tether dominance right here. I'm going to put on my drawing tools, and the green vertical bars correlate with tops in tether dominance and bottoms in Bitcoin, and the red vertical bars correlate with bottoms in the tether dominance and tops in Bitcoin. And you can see that that's actually been a pretty significant relationship throughout the history of this. I'm trying to make it make a little bit more sense right here. Maybe this is a little bit better, but starting off from, I guess this one's the easiest one to see, from 2017. Big low in tether dominance, big high in December of 2017 for Bitcoin. In fact, that was a cycle high, of course. Same thing over here for the low in 2018 December, just about a year later, and a high in tether dominance right here versus a low on Bitcoin right here. Same thing over here, coming off of the Rona dump. Actually, that actually still did work rather interestingly. Again, on the highs that we did see in 2021, that first high that we saw in 2021, by the way, and even the second high as well in November, the new all-time high before that cycle did end. Same thing over here, same thing over here, here, and perhaps yet again. So with this one very likely coming down, we should be expecting, or at least I would be expecting, in combination with all of the other things that we've been looking at on this channel with regards to seasonality, technical setups, probabilistic setups, all these sort of things, that the last quarter of this year probably does produce some upside price action, as it seems to me like we have yet another lower high on tether dominance, which was confirmed in the last week and a half. And well, if this is going to be coming down, we would be expecting, or it'd be wise to be expecting, Bitcoin price action to be coming up. On top of that, we do see some other technical signals that, one, the weekly stochastic oscillator is about to cross down at the end of today, which will close out this weekly. That'll be confirmed at about, or just anywhere under 5.91%. Again, for reference, right now trading about 5.5%. And by the way, I am recording this video in advance. I'll be traveling today, or when this one comes out. It's an airplane indicator day. Finally going back to one of our battle stations, so I'll have access to all of my usual tools and whatnot. I don't have to sound like a damn raspy lesbian with the stupid microphone, but the show will go on. Anyways, this also being, in my opinion, further confirmed by volatility contraction, suggesting that this range will continue on right here, and thus likely coming back down, as we do see this one trend back lower. On top of that, if we go over to this chart, which was our former LARP line chart, which, you know, it's been working out quite well, we did identify, I believe it was last week, maybe the week prior to that as well, hidden bearish divergence potential right here, as the weekly RSI was making significantly higher highs than, you know, what we saw back in January of this year, even now, than where it was in October of last year. October of last year, I should remind you, was all the way back in this area right here, again, where Bitcoin was trading around $40,000 before that rally to $74,000 did emerge, which was nearly a straight line as well. You know, maybe a slight correction in January, but really it just felt like one straight fucking line, basically. So in this case, you know, very likely coming back down for at least another one of these trend line tests. I suppose like the super permeable, super cycle, herpety derp, bull market, fucking rocket ship emojis, green dildos in my face and in my bunghole type people are going to be looking for this to create a lower low and actually trend to the downside, which I do think is probably unlikely, but there would be potential for that. I suppose this would be essentially the move that you'd be looking for, but should at least come back down, you know, somewhere around about 4.5%, and maybe stay down around there. As you can see, the LARP line, I probably would be looking for a bounce right there. And then, you know, and then that probably correlates with the end of this cycle. I do want to reiterate my thoughts on this cycle as things have kind of emerged, that I'm generally looking for this cycle to find its conclusion before the end of Q1 of this coming year of 2025. Again, it's not just this chart that I'm looking at, but several other things. But hey, you know, this the super perma bullish analysis that I just alluded to, I guess would be confirmed if you did see, you know, lower than what we saw back in April of this year, which would be all the way down at about, you know, basically just below 4%, about 390. I think it's unlikely, but this next move should be down, and it's essentially just beginning right now. We do see that the weekly jewel's about to turn down as well, so another confirming factor right there as well. And well, this should, you know, provide the backdrop for a very interesting Q4 and probably Q1 of 2025. But like I said, end of Q1 2025, probably even a little bit before then. I do think that this market finds its top, and then we work our way down for a while. Traditional markets probably take, you know, longer than that, to be honest, as they typically do. You know, they typically top a little bit later. But, you know, crypto doing its thing right here. Speaking of traditional markets, I suppose we can just quickly go over to them, because why not? And let's go over to this chart right here. We should look at SPY futures and NASDAQ futures. Let me get rid of this comparison for right now. As we went over in SPY this past week, new all-time highs were made pretty fast from that last video. Again, we do see that the weekly stochastic oscillator is once again crossing back up into the critical zone right here, which was a critical component of that past analysis, as we've seen all of the first moves into the critical zone, which are represented by these vertical bars here, correlated with, you know, moves to essentially new all-time highs. You know, even the ones that technically failed, which would be this one right here, actually back in 2021, did still make a new all-time high before inevitably coming down and, you know, really creating a real bear market. But, you know, the other ones produced, you know, the impetus for very, I would say, long-term moves. I mean, these were multi-month moves and just a slow trudge to the upside, as you can see. And this analysis goes all the way back to, I mean, we can go further than this, but I just did it back to like 2013 because I got tired after that. And again, I'm over here on my laptop and all these tools, so I'm kind of missing my usual setup, which is just very annoying right now. But one more day, or I guess by the time that you're watching this, I'll be back, and then we're ready to rock and roll yet again. But yeah, new all-time highs right here. I'd be expecting it to continue very, very likely, as this does freshly break into that critical zone. And we can see that BBWP is looking to expand off of extreme low levels. So this is looking good. This is looking ripe. And NASDAQ a little bit weaker in comparison to SPY futures. This one not making new all-time highs just yet, is having that same sort of higher low and it is seeing the same sort of momentum shift back onto the upside here, albeit a little bit weaker. So I do think that we are seeing rotations in this market, which is a good sign overall. Other sectors are being rotated first before the techs, because I think the techs kind of got maybe overdone to the upside throughout this past year. Perhaps you did see like Nvidia, for example, go absolutely fucking bonkers. So perhaps we're seeing a little bit of rotation, which is good for a more healthy market, meaning that we probably see this current cycle go on a little bit longer. Again, I think stocks go on longer than Bitcoin. So maybe like 1 year from now, maybe like beginning of next summer, something like that, we see a top around there. But for right now, looking decent, looking all right, and just looking like continuation. So I think I'll end things on that note. Next time that you see me, or well, you don't see me right now, but next time that you hear my raspy lesbian voice, that deep, beautiful, raspy lesbian voice, we'll be in a new location. So with all of that said, I'd like to wish you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully next time.